By golly, we're live streaming. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to March 15th, the unofficial birthday celebration for the birthday that we forgot ourselves. So it's been over a year since we've been doing Morning Coffee Revu. So we decided, well, let's just take some extra time and have some more fun with it. So you're probably seeing a lot more extra faces if they're not hidden behind clever Zoom filters today. To sort of celebrate our Morning Coffee Revu and our 1-year anniversary. So we've invited some special guests. Some you've seen before. Kyle Davis, our support hero extraordinaire. I believe that's your official title, right? And then we've got Matt Lynn, my favorite architect. And then we've also got Beth Evano and David and DJ CJ, allegedly, maybe hiding behind that TV. So we've brought some special guests in, people who have been participating in our MCR for a while, and we thought we'd have some fun. So with that, let's go to the man in the funny hat. How's it going today, Michael?
It's going great. We have officially changed time zones. So I know Doug is feeling the time zone change as well as myself. Welcome, everybody. We are super excited to celebrate our anniversary and kind of recap what we had for over the last year and talk about things that we've done, maybe the best tips, some of the best support items over the last year, and something from the community, right? We brought David on. We were super excited. Thank you, David. And he's on vacation, but he was willing to join us here live for you all and the community. And again, at any point, if you have a question about Bluebeam Revu or Bluebeam as a whole, we can definitely take off on a tangent and go through and help you troubleshoot something or show you a workflow. But for now, toss it back to Jason. Where do you want to start?
Well, first off, there was another little glimmer of hope announced yesterday. And it also coincides with what's going on today. So the return of in-person conferences is finally here. So Bluebeam Extreme Conference will be live in person in San Diego in August. And with that, they officially opened their call for proposals yesterday. So if you want to go check out their website, say that you want to present at an in-person conference in beautiful San Diego, check that out. That's going to be super cool. Also today, for some people who use Autodesk University also opened their call for proposals today. Their in-person conference will be in late September in New Orleans.
Whoa. Not New Orleans. They didn't announce it.
They announced it.
Did they re-announce it again?
Website.
Oh my.
On their
Okay.
website
Live
now,
on the website.
So first one, they announced it. Then they went back and didn't announce it. And then they announced it. Yep. Right? Okay.
So, and then Esri is also doing their in-person conference in San Diego. And that they also have their call for proposals open. So in presentation spirit, if you're feeling it, looks like Matt submitted his call for proposals last night. Good job. Excited to see what y'all come up with.
Matt is in me?
No. Yes, you. No.
In the chat.
Matt in the chat.
Oh, okay.
That's a good rhyme.
Matt's like, yeah, I was on PTO, but I still submitted it.
Team player.
So Jason, will you be submitting to all three of those?
No. I'm not going to do Esri. I'll probably do something for Bluebeam. Michael and I have been scheming a little bit, and then we'll see what happens for Autodesk.
I think Matt and I have an idea for Autodesk as well. So
yeah, I'll do a few Autodesks.
There you go.
In person, go back to NOLA.
Ooh, prepare your livers now, everybody.
So
and it's going to be hot.
Submitting an MCR proposal?
We don't know yet.
Yeah,
we'll leave it at that. So it looks like
I think you should definitely do a live from XCon version of Morning Coffee Revu. Maybe even have an in-person panel or something along those lines.
Yeah, we're going to try to do something like that. We're also trying to come up with an idea to meet everybody. So not just us being here, but seeing us live and kind of treating the community as well.
Do a little coffee meetup or something. That'll be a good time. I'm excited just to in-person conferences are a big step into feeling normal again. And, I don't mind taking 2 or 3 COVID tests a week, whatever it takes.
and for this instance too, for David, right? This is the first time we're seeing David. and meeting David. We would love to meet everybody that comes along. I mean, we met Doug when he was on here doing his portion. And again, at any point, if you feel you would like to join and talk about your workflow using Revu, there's always a survey at the end, and feel free to, in the comments, add in there.
Doubt.
And then we have Beth on. Beth and Beth.
Double the Beths. Welcome, Beth. Glad you could join us.
Morning.
All the Beths. So Beth Franks. If you might remember her from New Orleans, she doesn't have her fancy boa on this time, or the iPad running around the field, but she's the brain trust behind everything. So we're always thankful for her. She's
the soccer mom, right?
That's right. That's right. So easy, a soccer mom can do it. Self-professed soccer mom. That's right. Super excited to be here. Congratulations on a great year, you guys.
Thank you. It has been fun. We couldn't have done it with everyone here, as well as everyone that is listening in. We thank everybody, and we have some big things we want to have happen in the next year. And just like we were talking about XCon as well.
XCon and AU, and I'm looking at the attendee list, and I'm seeing new names and I'm seeing familiar names, and as always, that makes me happy. So welcome everybody to our little get together. So let's look at not Beth Franks, other Beth. We're going to come up with a nickname for you today. So let's talk about how your use of Bluebeam and Revu, or any other Bluebeam product, has changed over the past year. What sort of thing? How do you feel that you've grown as a Bluebeam user over the past year?
I would say using studio sessions has gotten a lot more common. We're using it extensively where we were kind of using it before. Like we sort of did red lines in those, but you still had a lot of the older architects still doing their actual red pen on the paper, giving them to an intern. So it's definitely pushed the envelope with that, and still trying to get everybody on board with like filtering and making sure they know that like you don't have to actually highlight the thing that you finished. You can just set it to complete. But it's been so much better and easier to track things.
That's a great thing to hear. That's something that we talk about a lot, and some of the older folks, myself included, like that tactile experience of pen on paper. But Revu is just so much. It's a better tool, when it really comes to replacing some of those workflows.
For sure. Yeah.
That's right. I was trying to think of where Beth had come from, and then I remembered now the community. So we don't just have David, we also have Beth. Took me a second. I apologize.
Who are you?
Well, I mean,
I was like, Beth, and I just put two and two together. Sorry, this is what happens when time zone change happens. I apologize.
I think you're just starstruck, Michael, because not only is Beth a community member, I believe she's also a winner of one of our contests.
She is.
True. Yeah.
Which one was that? Was that the turkey one?
No, the shortcut.
See if we could do that. Maybe.
Oh, the shortcuts. Yes.
Yeah, got the mouse pad and a little window or screen cleaner.
Oh,
whole bunch
what?
Of stuff
I don't even
that came
have
in a
one
package.
of those.
Oh yeah,
That's
quite
too
fancy.
Cool. Very cool. So we like to
give
stuff away.
Was that the koozie snap?
No, that one's here too somewhere.
Okay.
I'll find that. My nephews love that one.
Snap is where it's at.
Yeah, it is.
And then I've got a pair of sunglasses that I remembered to bring to Florida with me, but they're out of reach, so nice. They're not going to be seen right at the moment. So. Plus, being on vacation, I haven't put my contacts in yet, so if I put the sunglasses on, I can't see anything.
Right? Yep.
I feel you there.
Contacts, lens wearers unite. So let's go to you, David. How's your Bluebeam Revu usage changed over the past year? Obviously, it's afforded you these lavish vacations that you get to take now.
Well, it's kind of funny because we actually found out about 2 weeks ago that we were awarded a project that I've been working on for the last 18 months, and it's the largest single contract that our company's been awarded. in its history. And a lot of that is from my work in review. It's a 222 lot or 222 unit townhouse community. And I've been able to use review for a lot of value engineering type proposals to the client, and the ability to change my takeoff on the fly and get the updated quantities and such has been tremendous. And being able to present to my client the ideas and document the changes and things along those lines has been priceless. And a lot of my confidence in review has come from these conversations. I've got ideas from these conversations, figured out a few things on my own. Doug's been a great resource from me in another community that we hang out together with. And it's just, review has been a big part of me being able to win that work. I frankly, I can't imagine doing it with highlighters, pencils, and a scale. It just wouldn't happen. So it's been a great tool for us.
That's fantastic to hear. So, using that winning work angle is not one that we hear a lot with review, and that's great to hear a success story with that. So congrats to you and your firm. That'll be an exciting project.
Yeah, it's very proud of the win. And, like I said, we've been able to, provide that value engineering. As an example, we went from having 222 individual water connections, and then we were able to value engineer it down to a total of 30, basically feeding each building in one place. And then we looked at it a little bit further and said, well, what if we feed two buildings from one feed? And, again, being able to quantify that and show the differences has been huge. And we actually got compliments from the client from our ability to identify these things and communicate them and such. So it's been a big part of it. And like I said, I cannot imagine trying to do that with pen and paper and scanning things and such. It just, you don't get the resolution and all, and that level of detail that you can get with being able to zoom in on things. And it's been great.
And the ability to rework too, right? Where pen and paper, it's kind of etched in, unless you have a good enough eraser, but still a little etched in even after that.
Yeah, I've been working for contractors since, I'll date myself here, 1994. And when I came into the industry, everything was pencils and highlighters. And if you were going through a set of site drawings and you messed something up, you got a fresh, clean copy and started over again. And the ability to, say, oops, now that should have been red. Oh, no, that should have been blue, and just changing it versus starting over is huge. And it's just been a great communication tool for me. So
awesome. Thanks for sharing your story there, David.
Congrats, David. That's awesome on the big project. So what is your line of work? Are you in civil engineering, or are you a contractor? Sounds like somewhere in between, maybe.
Well, I am a civil engineer. I'm a professional engineer in the state of Pennsylvania, but I have worked for contractors since I graduated in 1994. So I've built a little bit of everything from subway tunnels to fiber optics, and stuff in between. So my current role is as a senior estimator and project manager for a smaller regional firm or mid-sized regional firm in Eastern Pennsylvania. And I think I found my sweet spot. I don't have to worry about anybody other than me, and keeping our ownership happy. I'm not trying to manage a team at this point. I'm just trying to be the best resource I can be for my company. And it's a neat place to be. They appreciate what I bring to the table, and the level of detail I can bring to what would otherwise be smaller projects for me. I'm probably working on stuff that's a tenth the size of what I used to, but that's okay because life is good. And as you guys said, it affords me the opportunity to come down on vacation and see my mom with my kids, which is all good stuff. So.
Great stuff. Being able to find that happy medium and enjoying what you do is definitely a perk once you find that sweet spot.
And Revue's pretty cool with that, because when I came in, the company was using it, but they had some real basic tools. And through this community and others, little bit of training and to open my eyes as to what some of the possibilities would be. I've been able to take that workflow that was a step above highlighters and scales that still used yellow pads. And, I've been able to build out my custom tools where I can export them, do some data washing in Excel, and then import the takeoff right into, we use a product called Bid to Win. And my goal is 0 keystrokes. I want to do everything on a mouse. I want to be able to select a tool that, automatically identifies it as curb or, 3 inches of paving or whatever that item is, and never have to do another keystroke. I want to do it all with a mouse and or exports and imports. And I'm not quite to Doug's level yet. He's got me beat by a couple light years, I think. But compared to where I started, it's amazing what I've been able to push the tool a little bit further.
Yeah, I think we're finding that tool, attending this, and like David said, other community involvements. And I know we may not have wanted to say it, but it was you, chapter 2 is the one you were talking about. You can, by all means, we're not splitting the community one way or the other. We are one whole community, and we are not afraid to announce other people as well and kind of push some things to them. And then also, just like Doug was on here, like you were saying, David, how he has been in the community. He has joined on here once before as well and talked about his workflow. And that's what we're here to do. Talk with each other, build this community, and learn what we're all doing and getting ideas and generating ideas together to push the envelope further with Revu and what we use it for.
Yeah, where Doug alluded to it, there's a few of us that are going to get together with Troy, hopefully here this weekend, and start talking about trying to put together I'll go as far to say super user takeoff type presentation together for XCon.
That's awesome.
I convince my wife that I need to go to San Francisco for a couple of days in August. We'll see how that works out.
San Diego.
San Diego. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. I wouldn't want to end up in the wrong city. That could be bad.
They're both amazing cities, though. I'd have a hard time picking one if I had a choice between the two.
Well, and someone made the comment in the chat here about this being a great resource over the last year, as far as being stuck in limited community and such, and what you folks have put together here, and it's something I look forward to every week. I consider it my hour of training every week, and sometimes I pick up a little something, sometimes I pick up something huge. Sometimes I get a little bit of entertainment, and it's all good. And watching Michael's wall grow behind him has been interesting. I'm curious to see when we get to the 3rd or 4th anniversary if we're even going to be able to see any of the blue back there. So
we'll start seeing plants coming this way is what will happen.
Jungle room. Just move it to a greenhouse.
Yeah.
There you go.
So David and Beth, I have a question for you guys. Other Beth, you can be the real Beth. I'll be friend Beth. So David, I think it was interesting what you were just talking about, saying about the way you were able to educate not only your potential customer and your client, but the folks at your company. We get asked all the time, like, oh, I love this technology, whether it's Revu or some other technology, and you become a champion of that. So can you guys talk to me a little bit, like, now that you are such avid users, what are you doing like in your company to help share that information or help, bring people to like, wow, there's so many benefits to using this, just any new technology in general. Again, we get asked that question like, man, I believe in this. I love this, but how do I get my company to sign off on it? Or how do I get other people, even outside of our internal team using this, because I see the benefits. How do I show them? So what is your experience with that? Because it sounds like, David, especially, I'm sure Beth, you have the same thing, that you've really seen that difference this year. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Some advice for that?
Sure. Yeah. It's funny because these situations occur where it naturally, like somebody asked for some toolbars for architecture and electrical and things like that. And I'm like, oh, I know where this is. They just did that in the last week's show. And also I'm our BIM manager at our company. So like I'm giving training, and a lot of times it's mostly Revit based, but occasionally I'll be like, hey, I also saw this thing in Bluebeam because I know people are using it. So I use that format to like push it as well. And then also actually today at noon, a little nervous, but I'm giving a presentation for our local BIM user group that is highlighting technologies that are have kind of either come out of the pandemic or have been pushed a lot further because of it. And I'm highlighting in Bluebeam in that as well, specifically the studio sessions. So it's just kind of like all these ways you can share knowledge around your community, whatever that is, whether it's, I know I've also put it out there on some of the forums that I'm on, like, hey, did you guys know that you could do this in Bluebeam? I just found this out. This is amazing. So.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. And good luck today. I'm sure you'll.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're already in front of almost 30 people. So you're getting some runs in before you go. And
so this is my warm up.
There you go.
It gets easier. Trust me, Beth, teaching in front of people and presenting.
It's an interesting question, Beth. It's actually something that I've struggled with. We're a very small company that we're 50 people, including 45 people in the field. So it's basically myself and the president of the company that do the estimating. And excuse me, frankly, he's so busy. I have a very hard time getting in front of him to try to show him any of the tools that I've built. It's been a goal of mine to sit down and really show him how I've been able to take it further. I think he's seen it, or I know he's seen it, but I haven't had a chance to really share the tools and try to get him up to speed with them. It's one of my goals to do that. We have a couple other folks in the company that use Bluebeam some, but not to the extent that I do. And this big win has been a great opportunity for me to be able to show the one younger guy in the office, how I'm using it, and be able to flip through things and turn layers on and off, and kind of really show them what the tools can do when it's set up. And I'm hoping that will roll through to others. A couple of the folks that handle our administrative stuff, I've been able to share some things with them. The one you guys showed a couple of weeks ago, being able to email from the side of the screen with the spacing of my name here, guys. The
email
grid view
template.
on the side,
yeah.
The sheet tab, being able to email from there, trying to show, for example, our person that handles the invoice routings and such, and for her to be able to come into an invoice that a vendor sends and just be able to right click and hit that email template, saves her clicks. And, we all know we live and die by what our right hand can get done in the day with the number of clicks we can do. So if you can cut down on those clicks, you're saving time. And, I think it was Chad has said before, you save time one click at a time. And, the more clicks you can save in a day, the better off you are. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yeah, and the other thing is it goes beyond our own company. As Michael mentioned, I'm very active over on Chapter 2 with the Brainery. Still haven't figured out how that whole belt thing works yet, but it's we have a lot of fun over there, and opening each other's eyes to different opportunities to save time. Vince has been a big guy over there with us as far as sharing ideas. I'm not sure if he's on today or not. It's like midnight where he is, I believe.
He's on. Yep.
Is he there? Morning, Vince. But we share ideas with each other in that community, and they work their way in over here. Some of the things that I throw into the chats on Tuesdays come from things I've learned from other people too. And it's been great to see what everybody else is doing. And if nothing else, I'm improving my throughput for my company. So I may not get the reach that I want within my own company, but if I figure if I'm teaching other people, I'm going to learn from them in return, and that helps my company out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jason and I are part of Chapter. We haven't hopped on and gotten very active, but we've talked to Troy before. And again, we're not about splitting the community one way or the other. We want to build the community as one. So that's one thing we always want to make apparent. If you want to mention someone else on here, by all means do so, because we want to grow the community. We don't want to create a stagnant area where it's silos, everyone's against each other. That's not what we do here. We love partnering. We love joining in, and creating a bigger community is really what our goal is here.
Right. We just want to make everybody's life easier, right? Yeah. Life's hard enough already. Let's learn some things and let's share with one another, because then we can enjoy our vacations and we can enjoy our time when we're not stressed about things. And there's so many cool things that you can do with, Bluebeam Revu and all the other software that we deal with here at ATG. But, those little tips and tricks and saving that time is all what adds to a better positive mental attitude. And that's what we want to encourage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we also, Troy has spoken at an event that we've hosted before, the Midwest University Speaker Series. Midwest U is a huge event for ATG, but because of COVID, we haven't been able to do it live. So in this whole time, we've been running a monthly series. And what's awesome about that is sometimes there's people from ATG, but we really want to bring people in the community, just as if we were at the conference, we could bring those people in and share with us. And that's about all things in the AEC space. Like I said, Troy has been on there before. We have panelists. So if there's anybody listening now, or Beth and David, we're always looking for speakers on various topics. So hit us up. You can email any of the guys here or put something in the chat. We're trying to map out the year. So we'd love to hear what you have and share it and elevate each other and as thought leaders and give you back credit. We're all about just raising awareness of you and the things that you're doing as well for our community. So we would love that involvement. And then if you can go to the ATG website and check out and see when that monthly series is as well. And you can always look on our YouTube channel so that you can see past episodes, but it's another great resource.
Yeah, and that's not specifically, it could be a Bluebeam one, but it's around the whole AEC industry, correct, which is great. So it could be anything that, like you were saying, Beth, Revit oriented, if you're using Revit, or any type of workflows that you're used to seeing, talk about that as well. Get some laps in on teaching, and maybe submit an XCon item. And by the way, if we go to XCon, which I'm looking up at our Beth friend over here, you may be able to see Carrie, which, by the way, she is the TV down here in my screen, the bottom left. So just a little hint drop here. None of us have seen her. And if you're wondering who she is, that is a huge mystery.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe you've gotten lucky a couple times. There have been a couple instances where I popped up when all of you guys are together. So
that's true.
That is true.
I'm the camera shy
picture floating around.
Yeah, Beth, exactly. It's interesting. It's interesting, Beth, that you mentioned the online events and such. Yeah, we've mentioned Troy, and for people that don't know who Troy is, I'm going to butcher how to say his last name, Troy de Groot, with you Chapter 2. And what's kind of entertaining is I got introduced to Troy through trying to remember what the group was, out of Australia. It was
the Aussie group. Is that what you're saying?
And it was again.
Melbug is what Doug is.
Melbug, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Melbug.
that's what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Doug gets the gold
before
star.
Christmas, and he did a presentation there, and that was one of the first times I had any Bluebeam training, and that event even being available online, probably, not that it wasn't there before, but it came to my attention through LinkedIn, and got me involved in the community from that type of event. And that was one of my first introductions to Troy, and then through another online thing that I attended, and have built a great friendship with him. Mm-hmm. And the community has been awesome. Like I said, I learn things every time I'm around you folks, and I really appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you, David and Beth, for coming on and joining us and talking about your story. and letting us kind of get an insight and seeing you. We're not at XCon yet, and we get to see you all and finally officially meet you. You've seen our faces. You've seen my plants grow. I was already bald before this one, so yeah, can't put that in the note. But you've seen Jason's wall grow as well. Some plants die, unfortunately. Have to give him some tips.
You gotta mention that. Okay.
But his item grows well. And then also within our own community, right? So we have David and Beth here, but we also have Matt and Kyle in terms of our technical team. We also have Beth from our team and Carrie, who make everything happen. Beth is the leader behind this charge of our morning coffee review, but we have Matt and Kyle, who's on our technical side. And Kyle, if you've ever called support, he's probably the one that answers specifically to Bluebeam. He is the glasses behind the glasses that he's currently wearing. And then we have Matt Lynn. I would love to have them introduce themselves, talk about their journey, especially Matt, because he most recently became a BCSR, and kind of explain your journey and why you felt as you started this, right? Because you came on at one point. I remember you're like, Michael, I don't know anything about Bluebeam. How am I going to help you do this while Jason is out? And now look at you, where you're at from this year charge, right? You are officially a Bluebeam certified support representative.
Thanks, Mike. So I really love coming and attending every week because every time I sit in, I learn something. And I've been told by my wife, who's a psychologist, never use dichotomous statements. But every time I attend, I do learn something. So thank you guys. But not only is it just listening to you and learning stuff, but Jason and Michael have sort of like a Jimmy Fallon, Justin Timberlake vibe. They're friends on stage and off stage, and it comes through every show. So thank you guys. So what else? My journey has been fun. Jason and Michael and I also have a Zoom chat that's kind of like an ongoing, you got your close friends and you got your text chat. We have that ongoing. So I'm constantly saying, hey, how do I do this? And they just know all the answers. So it's been awesome.
We try to figure it out. And if we don't know, we ask Kyle.
Yeah. Actually, Kyle's my go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I'm in need, Kyle comes through with a shiny cape and saves the day.
He's the MVP, man. ATG MVP.
That is right.
That's right.
We got to mention this. So when we were all in New Orleans, we had some company awards, and there were a lot of people who voted for different things. And our MVP of ATG, our 160 plus person organization, our MVP was unanimously voted to be Kyle Davis. So I can't give you a better introduction than that. But Kyle, if you could say some words about what you do here and how your role with your Bluebeam review knowledge journey has been.
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction. I'm still just flabbergasted over MVP. I mean that's shocking as all can be to me, because I feel like I'm definitely behind the scenes type of guy, and I always used to be like the person on the phone. So it was always like one of those that didn't really get to meet people too much. It was just like they called in and stuff like that. And I remember my first kind of public thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the person behind the phone. Everyone's like, oh yeah. So, and then I've been doing the support now for almost 12 years now. And then we started with the Bluebeam review, and I was asked to be one of the people that becomes the certified for that, because at the time we only had like 2 people that even thought of it, and I was one of them. And so I started doing the Bluebeam review, and I got to know a lot of the people at Bluebeam. Most of them were there, or I've moved on to somewhere else, and I got to meet new people, and doing the support and training for it and consulting. Then when I came on to ATG, I've been mainly doing the support side of it. So I've picked up a lot of things and little tips and tricks of what goes on behind the scenes, and work with Bluebeam support all the time to pick up new things that are coming up or things like that. So I'm always trying to stay on top of what is changing in the software to be able to get it to the people saying, hey, there's an update here, you need this. One of the biggest ones lately was the studio login. when all they had to sign in each time, and so many people were creating cases saying, "Oh, I don't want to sign in each time." I'm like, "Well, update to the latest version." So it was like I got that information to them, and they're like, "Wow, yes!" And so it's been nice to just be just helping the clients and get them working again. And it's one of my goals is to get you working as the community so that you can still use your software.
So I just learned something. I guess I need to update so I don't have to sign in.
Yeah.
Yes,
20.2.6.
You sign in each time right now, Matt?
I know.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh. See,
I'm definitely
every
going to get on
time.
that 20.2.6. So.
I'll log into Enterprise and see what you're at right now. So we talk about differentiators every now and then, and one of the questions always comes up is like, why would I buy Bluebeam from ATG when I can just get it off of the Bluebeam website? Kyle's a big part of that reason, right? Support is a huge thing for anything that we're dealing with software. No software is perfect. If you've got a perfect software, I'd love to see it. But that would make Kyle sad because we like to keep Kyle busy. So with that support, when you get your Bluebeam through ATG, sorry for the commercial, that you get to contact Kyle and you get that quick response. So keeps you working faster.
He can answer your question by Bluebeam and Revit in the same call.
Same call. And Civil 3D. Same call.
And to give the plug for the support side, we're at 9 minutes response time, first reply time. So that's our average.
9 minutes.
9 minutes.
What's your average response time from different providers? Usually like 2 days, right?
Depending on who you go with, yeah. I know some, like even when you go to Autodesk, you're going to be looking at 24 to 48 hours.
So. And sometimes that's like a day of work lost because something is detrimental where you can't access or you can't do something that's going to help you finish out the project. But Kyle and the team, because it's not just Kyle, but Kyle is definitely one of the forerunners here as MVP ATG, gets you in 9 minutes and can help solve that as well.
About the perfect amount of time to put in your support ticket, go make a cup of coffee, come back, and Kyle and team will be contacting you.
Yep.
I think another thing to note is that at ATG, we do have a dedicated customer success representative, Jolie, who has been on before, to share that. So I think it's cool that we have, all of those things covered, that full circle, closing the loop, support, community. Success and thinking through all of those things, just getting you back to work and being successful. It's really what we care about.
And she's going to be the champion behind this end of life. So if you were all working in 2019 and below, she is going to be the go-to person to help you all behind the scenes. She was going to be here today. I forget why she wasn't able to carry.
She's on the chat. I see her.
She's an attendee. Could we promote her?
Yeah, she's an attendee. She's been put to work by Mr. Dane. So she's with us in spirit this morning though.
Okay.
Speaking of end of life, next Tuesday is your official last day to buy any of the older products. I don't know why you would want to, but you have a week if you really want to do that. We'll mention that again next week.
Yeah, it'll be end of sale, right? Is the 21st is the end of sale date, because then it's a year lapse for end of life, which is March 21st, 2023. There
you go.
Why would anyone buy it? An older version? Typically it's perpetual and you own it. Would that be the only reason?
Typically what folks like to do is purchase below 18 because it's a different UI. So if they're trying to add a new license, maybe teach a colleague and they had the older version, they would typically want an older version to teach them that UI because they don't know the new UI themselves either at this point.
Which is silly. It's like going into Best Buy and asking for a flip phone, right? Let's not do that. It's just kind of silly at this point. So,
or projector TV.
Or projector TV, unless it's got Carrie hiding behind it. That's kind of cool though.
It's true.
So in true Morning Coffee Revu spirit, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't to answer a question. So we've got a question kicked off today from our good friend Other David. Since we're doing Other Beth, we've got Other David in the chat who has a question about creating a stamp. I think you can probably answer this without sharing your screen, but let's see. I'll pitch this over to you. Can you create a stamp that stays a specific side? To you, Michael.
Well, hold on. We have a lot of folks on here. Do we want to answer it, or do we want to give some folks that are joining us today the chance to answer it?
Should we make Matt put him on the spot?
I think we put everyone here on the spot.
Oh.
And then if it doesn't get answered, we can jump in.
Then it goes to Carrie.
Then it goes to Carrie in the TV. We'll send it through the TV. This reminds me like a Willy Wonka TV.
There you go.
We'll send it through there.
People just moved around. Did that happen on everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think fast.
Can I go, ooh, 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 ooh?
There you go.
Yep.
Go ahead, David.
All right. So I'm hitting things on this apple. Lost something. You guys still there?
Yep, we're here.
All right. I was trying to put my hand down and I clicked on something else. Dangers of using your kid's computer. Anyway, so my solution to the question would be to use the stamp at the size that you want, and then add it to your toolbox as it is set. And then that way that stamp, when you apply it in the future, would be the same size as when you saved it into the toolbox, as long as you have it in the correct mode. And I forget the name of the term, but you can set it so that it will be the exact same stamp that you used previously when you apply it in the future.
That is called, Matt is going to answer that probably.
I think I have an additional input. And I also believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it depends on how you put it in. If you put it in with a single click, it stays to a size. Whereas if you put it in with a continuous left click and drag, then it's any size you want. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's the trick right there. And that's the one that I always mess up on. So stamps in Review are typically a PDF, right? So you create it to the size you want, you drop it in.
And then as David was talking about, so if you've scaled it to the size that you wanted it to be as placement, it's going to be added to your tool, your recent tools. And you can then drag it up to My Tools at the drawing mode is the mode David was talking about versus properties mode. And that'll allow you to copy that exact one you placed at that exact scale into whatever tool set you wanted. Teamwork.
There you go. So thanks for
Where
that.
Was that question even at?
That was with the first. David started off our whole day with a question. So thanks for that. And like always, if there's any other questions there on YouTube or any questions you want to kick your day off with, put them in the chat. We do see those over here on the Zoom side.
Yeah, let's see if we can stump the team.
There you go.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So last week I learned, Jason taught me, if you press that little button, it can go from the thick lines to the razor thin vector lines.
Oh, the line weight toggle.
The line weight toggle, right? If you print in with the thin line, does it print as razor thin or does it print with line weights?
Still prints with line weights.
Okay.
It's just an optical thing.
Yep.
Good to know. So it's like
similar AutoCAD, when you say show line weights, or in Revit, you show line weights, it still prints that way. The thick lines.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I love that feature when I'm trying to dial into something, when I'm doing my takeoff and everything. What drives me crazy though is when I'm trying to highlight something and I've traced over something with a large line weight, and then if I'm probably going to mess up my way I say it, even if I flatten it, if I disable that line weights, it takes that down, like in a table or something along those lines, or in a key. And I find that very frustrating, because I'll send something to somebody and say, hey, I traced it over. You should be able to see it. It's a nice thick line. And then I find out that they've got disabled line weights on, and they don't see that thickness. They see it as a thin line. So I'd love to find a way that, say, if you flatten something, or some kind of a setting, and maybe that's something we need to propose to Bluebeam, is, hey, we need a way to be able to preserve this. We don't always want somebody to be able to turn that off, because there's a reason why it's thick.
But have everything else at that thinner line weight, right?
I mean, I want the ultimate power that when I want it to be thick, I want it to be thick, and I don't want anybody to be able to turn it off, but I want to be able to turn everybody else's stuff off. Yeah.
I wonder if that could happen with the security. So if you set a security and you sent it, can you still see the line weights change, right? If you've locked down your PDF.
I haven't tried that. That's a good question.
Yeah. I'm not going to try it now, but I'll try it after and we'll see, David. Maybe I'll come back with some explanation.
Could be a good Kyle challenge.
There you go. He's
Kyle,
always up
you're
for
on
it.
the job.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and when you were talking about that one and the security, and at least just from glancing at the what you can and can't do in the security stuff, it doesn't look like line weights would be one of them that is blocked. It's basically just kind of changing the entire document or certain other things like filling out the fills. It's basically changes in general, not just a particular thing like line weights.
That's just proof. As we're having a conversation, Kyle's over there solving problems.
Right?
Yep.
Exactly. I don't know how you sleep at night. You probably have support questions running through your head.
He solves problems in his dreams.
I have actually. It's been one of those that it's like I got a case that's just bugging me, and then I'm just like wake up the next morning. I'm like, I know it. It was this. It's this button, and so I'm like waiting to get back as soon as I get back into the case and sending it out and saying, "Hey, try this." And so I've done it.
Looks like highlighter doesn't get thin. Highlighter stays.
Ooh.
The width.
What does?
Oh, so a different type of markup could be used. I didn't think about that.
Good thing. We see some things in the chat here from Chris. Lock the layer. Maybe that would do it. Or
from my experience, that disable line weights is, you call it a God tool. It seems to overrule everything. The highlighting is an interesting idea, Beth. My only challenge with that is I like to do one set of markups and to have it stay for everything. I don't want to have to go back and re-highlight things. Plus, I find the highlighter tends to be a little bit squirrely. I know you can hold down the shift key and get a straight line and everything, but it doesn't have that snap capability that the other ones do.
So it only happens when you flatten it. If you don't flatten it, it stays the same. So if you're here and you do this, if it's not flattened and you do disabled, it doesn't change. But if you flatten it, it changes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, because usually I like to flatten things because I don't want people messing with my markups. But then you lose that depth of the extra width.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you could add everything to a layer and then lock it, right? And then they'd have to be intentional with unlocking the layer for them to modify it, right? Then someone was intentionally trying to manipulate your markups. But
that's also
there's my takeaway
with that part.
I'm sorry, Kyle, I spoke over you there. I was going to say that there's my takeaway for today. I didn't know you could lock layers. So
yes.
There you go. I've learned
actually, Chris Williams said that as well in the chat. So it said lock the layer ? So good one, Chris.
Yep. So that would probably be your workflow. That, or because I don't think the reason why you wouldn't want to have lock here is because you'd have to press it for each individual. And I don't think you could do like a shift lock. Yeah, you can't. So you'd want a layer so you don't have to go through and lock each individual one. That's one thing I've found with the markups list is the shift feature doesn't really do everything for all. I mean, this still works when you're creating a legend, which I didn't know you can't add a seal to a legend. So, but
I've never seen that lock column. So if I were not to add that, I assumed everything would be unlocked until I add the column and then go through and manually lock it.
Yes, because right now, things can move, but if it's locked, someone can't make changes. It's like being in a studio session for that markup.
Well, the other thing that's interesting is if the profile, well, probably because when you brought the drawing in, the column would come in showing the lock column. But unless somebody knew to go down and look to unlock it, if they've been to Morning Coffee Review and learned the tricks of the trade, then you have the danger of them messing with it. But most people probably wouldn't even know you could unlock it.
Yeah, but then that's
and you
what
have
we
to have
call
that
it.
column on too to show the lock symbol. So it's like if they don't even know that's there.
Right, but I think if you send them the PDF that has the lock applied and the column shown, wouldn't it automatically show, or would it have to be part of their profile to see that?
It would have to be part of the profile because what comes with the PDF is the custom column.
Yeah. Not what they see or not.
Yeah. And then it comes down to also, David, what I like to say, a teachable moment, because they had to deliberately go in and unlock it to manipulate your markup, which then becomes a teachable moment of what they shouldn't be doing.
And Michael, one thing that you were talking with that shift thing when you're down the markups list, right click. So shift, hold as many as you want, right click, and then you get that lock.
Did that work for you that way? I think it
may
so
if you have multiple markups
seal
in there and you hold shift and you select as many as you want, if you right click, nope, yep, and then just right click and you have lock. And now you can lock as many as you want.
This guy. See? Kyle Davis over here, champion. So me selecting it was the individual one, but that's what the right click is for, like adding the legend. Can you right click reply to all? Oh my gosh, you can.
To selected markups. Yep.
Danger.
So if you have multiple things that you fixed, reply to, yep.
But you can't do. Oh, you
is that
can.
right click lock available even if the lock doesn't show in the column?
Yes. So if you have the column turned off, you're saying?
Correct. Okay. Good.
I believe so.
So this, you can change status too, by the way, with multiple ones.
Good.
Yeah, you can select it, right click and say multiple layers. You can
everything in here
status
is what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of entertaining that we're talking about, locking things so people can't mess with them. And really, it's one of the things I find very frustrating with one of the designers that I work with is their drawings come through locked, and it drives me crazy because I can't mess with them, and it takes some of my tools and disables them. So I can find that kind of frustrating at times. I probably need to post a question to you guys about it. I'll have to get my ideas in order here so I can present it better. But basically, you can't set a scale on their drawings for whatever reason, the way they have them locked down. And for someone doing takeoff, not being able to set a scale is very frustrating.
They may be able to set the scale prior to locking it. That may be the option there.
Well, and it may be one of those things too. I just need to talk to them and either ask for an unlocked version or explain to them the heartache that they're causing me. I would love to sit down with a bunch of designers, and we actually have a topic going over on chapter 2 about best practices for PDFs, and make closing your lines and things along those lines and layers and such, that if we could get some kind of a standard in the community of how these things should be done, they could make everybody's life a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree. Especially starting with vector versus raster, right?
Some of those tips also go back to the CAD side of things, right?
Yep.
There are some drafting guidelines, and there are some things that should be adhered to avoid problems when it does make it over to the PDF side of things.
Yeah. Well, it's like I love it when you folks are showing using dynamic fill. And the files that Bluebeam gives you, they're perfect, and it never leaks out and all that and everything. that is such a training environment drawing you can't imagine. I have one designer in particular. I think they teach their people not to connect curves to straight lines. There's always a gap, and it can be enough to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this is a Revit line, so they're pretty good here.
So dynamic
I think it's
fill
probably an AutoCAD thing.
Wouldn't be caught by dashed lines or hidden lines, for example.
Correct. And
that's
it's the
probably what you're running
sensitivity
into,
too.
David.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's on a curb line. So if you think about, in front of a shopping center or something along those lines, you'll have a tree space and, or an island, and you'd think it would be two nice curves on either end attached to a straight line in between, and you could just go in with a dynamic fill. And inevitably the curves don't touch the lines. And it's very frustrating because the dynamic fill is an awesome tool, especially for parking lots. You set it up right, you can measure your curb and your paving in one operation. But if you have have that spilling, it just drives you crazy. You spend more time cleaning it up than it would have been just to trace it.
Is that also maybe a Civil 3D thing where the contours aren't aligning and they're creating that space?
Oh, that's operator error.
I'd like to think that it's maybe the operator doesn't understand the problems that they're causing downstream. Back in the 90s or 80s, when I took drafting in high school, if I didn't connect my straight lines to my curves, there would be red circles all over my drawing that Mr. Swicker would mark up on me. And I don't know that people they're just not learning the importance of that precision.
I think
Excuse
it also
the weed whacker in the background here, by the way.
You're good. I think it also comes down to, because I remember even when I first started out in the industry, red lines on anything that wasn't attached, right? Coming from a structural background and not having your weld symbols being pointed and attached to the right area is a huge red flag, right? Because if they weld incorrectly out in the field, you're going to be in big trouble. So I think it just comes down to the culture of where they're at and how they learned how to design. Like Jason was saying, user error and being able to connect. That's why I was alluding to more of a design issue with AutoCAD versus Revit, which is an element versus an actual line being drawn and not using the flay command or something.
Teachable moments.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some questions in the chat that are directed directly to you, Matt Lynn. Can we please get architects to be consistent is one of them.
No.
And then also, I would like architects to export a PDF properly. So can you speak for your people?
Absolutely not.
Not to put you on the spot.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, what would that mean? Basically, just make sure you're using the Bluebeam plotter, right? And then go set the settings. I mean, there's things you could do like the rooms to spaces, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically need to conduct a forum where I gather all architects and whip them.
Yep, this is what we want to see.
Okay.
We'll get that scheduled on the next morning coffee.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
I think it's
top priority.
Yeah, I think we're at this point as an industry where we're having PDFs as the turning point of where we're going to be going forward, and adopting and understanding the best way to export them is still in that gray area where we're used to this. We'll use the A word just this once. Adobe workflow of exports, and not used to this AEC specific solution that allows us to benefit from its power. Fireball shot. Little side note, ATG, we were teaching, even if you said the A word, you had to take a fireball shot. But anyways, back to this.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. Back to this, talking through the workflows, and we're just adopting this as we're moving forward, especially with the digital workflow. COVID kind of propelled us even further into this digital workflow and kind of making everybody adopt it. And learning the best practices, just like attending one of these, is going to be ever changing. And probably in a year or two from now, we won't have those issues. Hopefully, once Matt and his team get things together, we'll see a change for sure for exports. Maybe I can create a quick tip.
It's interesting, Michael. I think these kind of discussions are huge, because it may very well be that there's someone who doesn't know that they should be connecting their lines, and some of those challenges. And talking about it here, maybe we inspire somebody to be a little bit more careful with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I'd love to see is for someone to come up with a layering naming convention that can actually be translated without runes and things along those lines, so you can understand what's on what layer. The isolate layer, that's an awesome tool, but I've actually gotten to the point now, I go into a drawing, I'll turn all the layers off and then turn them on one by one and rename them so I know what they are, because I can't make heads or tails out of some of these layers sometimes.
Is that primarily from the site plans?
That's all I deal with, Matt, is site plans. And
that's Jason and his team. You can talk to them about that.
National CAD standard.
Civil engineers.
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll give you little clues, like it'll have like PC, I think means proposed contour. But other than that, some of the stuff, it's like X5 Z62. It's like, I'm sure, Matthew knows, or somebody knows exactly what they are, but I don't speak that language yet.
Always use National CAD standard when you can. It is an expensive PDF, but if you're clever with the Google, you can find an older version. It's amazing. And we do that for a lot of firms, is get them all over onto that same standard. That way, what some of those abbreviations and acronyms are. And it makes it easier to work with architects and engineers and structural and all the other people if they're all on the same sort of naming convention. So there is one out there. That's one of those things that you can always request from your clients.
All right, so that's takeaway number 2 for today, is that there is a standard name for that. Now I can go study it.
Awesome.
I'm trying to get everybody on that for years. Pulling teeth. Well, we've been doing this for forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's where we're seeing the change, is the willing to adapt and kind of create a better happy medium for everyone in the community versus discipline, right? We're all trying to construct one project and make the end goal client happy. And that is going to be ever evolving in terms of our set standards. If we could all get everyone on one team, like we are trying to do here in the community, it would be and make things a lot easier.
And with that, our time has run out for the day. It's been a pretty quick birthday celebration, and I want to thank everybody for joining us, both internal and external. David, Beth, thanks for joining us. Thank you, everybody on YouTube. Thank you, everybody in the participants list. If you're watching this in the future, be sure to like and subscribe. Take care, all that other stuff. Any final words from anybody?
Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck with your presentation, Beth.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Yes.
Good luck, Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We will close it out here again. In the end, you will have a survey. If you would like to join and talk about your workflow, like these folks have joined us today, please put that in the survey. Any comments, how we're doing, how well, Matt, Beth, David, Kyle, Carrie, and Beth on our team has done. Leave them in the comments because we read them. We love it. So thank you all and have a great rest of your week. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
See you next